All right, so we have a man that's raised by Martians, and he returns to Earth, and then he begins teaching a new language of love and faith and freedom. I'm Matt Hasquin. I'm a high school history teacher, and I'm taking you through Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire" line by line. We've had Hemingway, Eichmann, and now we're on to "Strangers in a Strange Land" and this line. When Billy Joel sings "Strangers in a Strange Land," he's pointing to Robert A. Heinlein's 1961 novel, which was a sci-fi bestseller that kind of, slipped counterculture debates into more of a mainstream hit. The story follows Valentine Michael Smith, who was a human that was born on a doomed Mars mission and was raised by Martians. He was brought back to Earth as a young adult, and he inherits the expedition's fortune, and with help from a nurse named Jill Boardman and a lawyer journalist named Jubal Harshaw, he tries to understand a planet that's obsessed with money and media and power. Now, Michael Smith learns fast, and in learning, he really just kind of unsettles everything that's around him. Now, two ideas from the novel jumped into everyday speech. First of all was grok, which is to understand so completely that you and the thing understood actually become one. And secondly, it's water brotherhood, the sharing water as a ritual of trust and just kind of a kinship. Now, Smith builds a communal movement that questions organized religion, sexual rules, and ownership. And the questioning takes place with scenes that really popularized frank talk about polyamory and alternative faiths. Now, some moments still provoke. The book mixes satire and utopia and controversy, including a ritual attitude toward death that made the book kind of like a lightning rod. The book's path was unusual. It won the 1962 Hugo Award and was sold to readers far beyond science fiction circles. The published text was heavily cut for length, and a longer uncut version appeared a few decades later. But whether you prefer the very tight original version or the sprawling restoration, the novel's tone, which is half parable and kind of a half campus or coffee house argument, helped the book become kind of a touchstone for 1960s youth culture. The word grok shows up in tech and subcultures, and the critique of institutions shows up in debates on college campuses and book clubs. Now, reading the book, reading it now kind of means like seeing both the spark but also the limits. The novel has this free love optimism and spiritual satire that feel of their time. Now, some gender dynamics and some cultural borrowings read kind of dated, but its central question still stands. What happens when an outsider takes human rules literally and then finds them wanting? When we tie it back to the song, dropping this title into the timeline, Hemingway, Eichmann, Strangers in a Strange Land, it signals a moment when science fiction stepped into the center of the culture. Giving the 1961, 1962 era kind of a vocabulary, grok, water brother. And all this is for rethinking authority and sex and belief. And the reason why it matters, well, Stranger in a Strange Land shows how genre fiction can really steer real-world conversations. It gave a generation some new words to argue with and made speculative ideas part of daily life. If you enjoyed this particular episode, well, hey, please leave a like, a comment, a follow, a share, any of those things, and that'd be great. And we're moving on because after Strangers in a Strange Land, the next line is going to open with Dylan, so I'll be talking about Bob Dylan. Thanks for watching.